Few issues ignite such passionate debate as abortion. It is a battleground of ideologies, ethics, and deeply held beliefs. On one side stand those who champion a woman's right to choose, her autonomy over her own body. On the other side stand those who believe in the inherent right to life of the unborn child, a life they believe begins at conception. This essay seeks to delve into this complex issue from a biblical and moral perspective. It is not an attempt to shame or condemn, but to engage in honest dialogue seeking truth and understanding. We will examine the arguments, address the criticisms, and ultimately advocate for the most vulnerable among us. The stakes are high. Lives are literally on the line. As we navigate this difficult terrain, let us do so with humility, respect, and a commitment to seeking justice and mercy.
The fundamental question at the heart of the abortion debate is this: who are the unborn? Are they merely clumps of cells, as some argue, or are they distinct human beings deserving of the same rights and protections as any other person? The Bible offers profound insight into this question. Psalm 139, verses 13 to 14, eloquently describes God's intimate involvement in our formation. "For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made." This passage leaves no room for ambiguity. We are not randomly formed by chance, but meticulously crafted by a loving Creator. From the moment of conception, we are known by God, set apart for a purpose. To argue that life begins at any point other than conception is to disregard the clear testimony of Scripture. The Bible consistently affirms the sanctity of life from the womb. Exodus 21, verses 22 to 25, often cited in the abortion debate, establishes the principle of equal protection for both mother and unborn child in cases of accidental harm. This passage clearly demonstrates that the unborn are not considered mere extensions of the mother, but distinct individuals under the law. Furthermore, throughout Scripture, God's love and concern extend to the unborn. Isaiah 49 verse 1 states, "The Lord called me from the womb, from the body of my mother, he named my name." Jeremiah 1 verse 5 proclaims, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I consecrated you." These verses paint a powerful picture of God's intimate involvement in the lives of the unborn. He knows them, calls them, sets them apart for his purposes. To end a pregnancy is not simply a matter of personal choice, it is a grave offense against the Creator and his creation.
The pro-choice movement often argues that abortion should be permissible in cases of rape or incest, or when the mother's life is in danger. These are undeniably difficult and heartbreaking situations, demanding our utmost compassion and support for the women involved. However, even in these extreme circumstances, the taking of an innocent life cannot be justified. The child conceived in rape or incest is no less human, no less deserving of life than any other child. To suggest otherwise is to perpetuate the cycle of violence and deny the inherent dignity bestowed upon all human beings. Similarly, while the life of the mother must be protected, advances in medical technology have made it exceedingly rare for abortion to be the only option in life-threatening pregnancies. In such cases, every effort should be made to save both lives, upholding the sanctity of each.
Section 5. Imperfect Messengers. Acknowledging hypocrisy within the Church. Critics of the pro-life movement often point to hypocrisy within the Church, citing instances where self-proclaimed Christians fail to support mothers and children after birth. This criticism, while often mischaracterized and exaggerated, does hold a grain of truth. Sadly, there have been those within the Church who have prioritized condemnation over compassion, judgment over grace. This failure to embody the love of Christ has undoubtedly caused pain and alienated those seeking help and support. However, it is crucial to recognize that the failings of individuals do not negate the truth of the pro-life position. The Christian call is to stand for the sanctity of life from the womb to the tomb, offering practical help, compassion, and unwavering support to mothers, fathers, and children in need.
Section 6. Myths and Misconceptions. Debunking common pro-choice arguments. The pro-choice movement often relies on arguments that, upon closer examination, crumble under scrutiny. One such argument is that a woman has the right to control her own body and therefore should be free to choose abortion. While bodily autonomy is an important principle, it cannot be absolute. Our rights end where the rights of another begin. In the case of pregnancy, there are two distinct individuals involved, each deserving of protection under the law. Another common argument is that abortion is a safe medical procedure. While it is true that legal abortion is generally safer than illegal abortions, it is not without risks. Complications can and do occur, both physical and psychological. Furthermore, to frame abortion solely in terms of safety is to ignore the fundamental moral question at its core, the taking of a human life.
Section 7. A time for compassion, finding common ground in a polarized world. The abortion debate is often characterized by anger, hostility, and a lack of empathy. Both sides dig in their heels, demonize their opponents, and refuse to acknowledge the humanity of those with differing views. This approach is not only unproductive but also deeply harmful. It perpetuates a cycle of division, preventing us from engaging in meaningful dialogue and finding common ground. While we may never fully agree on the issue of abortion, we can at least strive to understand one another's perspectives, to listen with open hearts and minds. We can find common ground in our shared humanity, our desire to protect the vulnerable, and our commitment to building a more just and compassionate world. Section 8. Choosing life, a call to action. The abortion debate is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a matter of life and death. Millions of innocent lives are at stake, each one precious, each one deserving of our protection. This is a call to action, a plea for justice, a demand for compassion. We must stand for the most vulnerable among us, the voiceless, the defenseless. We must reject the dehumanizing rhetoric of the pro-choice movement and embrace the truth of the sanctity of life from the womb to the tomb. Let us choose life. Let us choose love. Let us choose to build a future where every child is welcomed, cherished, and protected.